What's happening, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Side Guys Football Forum. I'm one of your co-hosts, Summer the Side, joined as always by my good friend, my good buddy, the other half of the Side Guys, Mr. Tad the Side. And Tad, even though our waiver wire episodes have concluded for the season, we still got a couple more weeks of DFS action to go. Some people even play DFS during the playoffs as well. You know, even the Super
That's
Bowl.
a risky game. That's a risky game.
Yeah.
That player pool has to be so small. Like, how are you not just, like, repeating rosters between the two of you?
Well, so depending on the contest that you play, obviously we play head-to-head and we use the entire slate, but there's also like the captain showdown where it's like you pick a player and they get like 2.5 the number of points they get.
We're about to get a guest appearance, by the way, just so you know.
So there's that, and then you pick a certain amount of players after that. There's they do it like a regular fantasy style where it's like you just go back and forth picking players and there's no salary. So there's a lot of different modes in DFS. So I mean, it's not just the standard have to use the entire slate. Oh, there's a cattail
there
right
it is.
there.
Yep, there it is. Told you we were about to get it.
There you go.
He's going for the food, so there we are. All right,
Got
buddy,
it.
off the tape. Thank you. Sorry, keep going.
So, yeah, there's a ton of contests out there, so it does get interesting during the playoffs. But, yeah, we still, technically have about 3 more weeks of the fantasy regular season. So, yeah, actually, Tad, I finally got another victory against you this past weekend.
Fucking OBJ.
Yeah, it came down to Odell
Damn it.
Beckham Jr. He was able to score a touchdown. I think he had over 70 receiving yards or something like that, too. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Came through in the clutch for me. I needed him to have a good game, and he did, so I got the victory. But, yeah, you still have a more than commanding lead as far as total victories. I don't know the official number. Maybe you know the official number because that seems like something you would know, obviously.
It should be. So, hold on. Let me take a look real quick because he's actually – so, the worst part is I was debating between him and not T. Higgins. Who did I start instead? DJ Moore. In my other league, not the league that you and I are in, but my other league. And, of course, it didn't. I forgot. My bench is a disaster right now. So his final stat line was 6 catches, 77 yards, and a touchdown.
There you go.
There you go. So he, of course, did that on my bench because I went in down by 2 points. But like we talked about in the waiver wire episode, thank God for Matt Prater and Matt Stafford, both of the Matts, thank you. They locked up that win because my opponent had Cooper Kupp. So that was very an easy game for me. It was one of the closest fantasy games I've ever had.
There you go. So, yeah, like I said, we'll got a couple more weeks here. We'll see if I can sort of narrow that gap between your number of victories and contests and mine. Sure. But we'll see about that. But, yeah, we definitely want to get into Week 15. Want to get you some good advice for some DFS action happening this weekend. So, Tad, let's just jump right into it here. Who's the first guy that you like as far as good value or bad value for Week 15?
So, you know what? I'm going to break the mold here. I usually start these off by going, this price confuses me. I think if I had put $1 in the jar every time I said that, I'd be flat broke by now. I'm already close enough to flat broke, so we're not going to play that game. But honestly, this one does make sense. It's Russell Wilson. He is valued at $6,400. Now, I do understand that because, just a couple weeks ago, he was coming off back-to-back performances where he had under 10 points. Really not what you want to see out of a quarterback that is considered one of the best in the league. But, and also he's going up against the Los Angeles Rams defense, which has been performing pretty well this year compared to other years where they've also been performing well. So I understand why this price is so low because there's a lot of doubt there, but you have to look at the context of this game, okay? So in the past 2 weeks, Russell Wilson has posted, hold on. See, I was trying to go off notes, and I was doing so well. Wilson is back to being serviceable with 15-plus points in his last 3 games. So there you go. His last 3 games, he's gone 15-plus points. So I think his days of going, 10- are done. I don't think he's going to be back there. I think he came back a little too early, and I think the trainers are like, yeah, we kind of need you back. We can't go with Geno Smith for much longer. We get back in there. So I now that he's finally fully healed, I think he'll be fine. And now you may be going, well, this Rams defense is still pretty good. If you're listening to this podcast, chances are you already know this. COVID is just it's the opening months of the pandemic all over again. 75 players over the past few days in the NFL have been put on the COVID list. Because I don't know what's going on. I really don't. It's just, I guess it's the end of the season. Guys are just kind of, wanting to go out and party more. That's my guess. I don't know. But bottom line is the Rams have, actually, Amir, I want to see if you know this. How many guys do the Rams have on their COVID list? Take a guess.
I know they had 9 at one point, but I'm guessing it's in the double digits now. So I'm going to say 13.
16.
16. Wow.
16 players on the COVID list right now. So, hey, some of them may be able to play because my guess is, this isn't a guess because according to reports, of those 75 players, most of them are vaccinated. And guys, here's why you should get vaccinated is because reports are guys like Baker Mayfield are like, I feel fine though. Like I feel fine. But the problem is they still tested positive. So that's the whole problem. So maybe some of these guys will be able to play. Who knows? But it's all up in the air. And one of those guys on the Rams COVID list, Jalen Ramsey. So with Russell Wilson starting to look like his old self again, and Jaylen Ramsey potentially not being able to play this weekend, I like him especially for $6,400. That's a really, really good price for a guy that could potentially get you like 20, 25 points. That's ridiculously good. So, and even if he doesn't get up there, he still will probably get you anywhere from 16 to 18, which is fine. But again, fine is great with a quarterback if it means you can spend money elsewhere. So I really, really like that value on Russell Wilson. Spoiler alert, Murr, I'm playing him against you this weekend.
Well, it's good to know. It's good to know so I can plan ahead a little bit there.
That's why I hate doing this episode because you know like half my roster.
Yet, it has still always worked in your favor, so think about that there. I think Russell Wilson, with so many question marks on the Rams, overall team, that's a really good addition there for only $6,400.
And it will probably be a shootout because the Seattle's defense is terrible. So, high-scoring game is my guess.
True.
Watch this game be like 10-3 after I just said that.
Yeah, it's good. It could go either way, but yeah, especially the game that the Rams and Cardinals just had on Monday night, it could go very much in that same direction where I think the final score was like 30-23, I think if I remember, something like that.
Something like that.
It could be very similar into that same realm as far as the score there. So yeah, I do like Russell Wilson this week for DFS for sure. I'm going with the cheaper option than Russell Wilson, and that's Justin Fields for only $5,500. He's playing the Minnesota Vikings. I already brought him up earlier in our waiver wire episode. I like the fact that, he played Green Bay. He looked pretty good. He actually had one of his better games in his rookie season. He threw for his first multi-touchdown game in his career. He also threw for 224 passing yards, which is the second most this entire season he's played so far. So, he's trending in the right direction. And, obviously Green Bay was able to get out to an early lead, so they had to pass a little bit more, so you could probably anticipate that to being padded stats. But hey, padded stats are still stats when it comes to fantasy football.
Fantasy football does not care when it happens as long as it happens.
Exactly. It doesn't matter when it comes, but as long as the stats are there, you're going to get the points for it, of course.
Garbage time is where I live, baby.
Exactly. And we've already talked about this so many times. I hate to bring it up, but I only bring it up because it's a true fact. They're playing the Vikings defense, and the Vikings are inconsistent. We saw this. Like I said, I brought this up. They played the Steelers.
The only thing they're consistent about is being inconsistent.
Exactly. That is very true. I brought this up earlier, but they played the Steelers on Thursday night. They jumped up to a monstrous lead. I was telling Tad, I was like, this is open and shut, and this is just absolutely a horrendous game for the Steelers. They turned around the second half. The Vikings defense collapsed. They just let them back into the game. So, yeah, with that type of defense playing out there, playing against Justin Fields, I think he's a little bit more of an aggressive player. I think he's going to be a little bit better. The Vikings defense is surrendering the 8th most passing yards in the NFL and are tied for the 4th most passing touchdowns allowed as well. So, yeah, even though it's a cheap option here with only $5,500, I like this because Justin Fields could give you a good amount, very similar to what you were saying with Russell Wilson, that maybe he'll get you at least 15 points, but now you're spending like close to $900 cheaper than Russell Wilson, and if you're getting 15 points for that, that's not bad. This allows you to spend a little bit more at the other position. We always bring this up. If you could save a little bit at a premium position like quarterback position, the tight end position, maybe even one of your receiver spots, that can help you with the rest of your roster because you still got to fill out, 9 total players in your DFS lineup. So,
dude, that's the worst feeling. It was when you're like looking at your roster, like, you're okay, this is shaping up pretty nicely. And you're like, I have $1,500 for my flex. Like, God damn it. Like, that's just, it's the worst.
So true. So, yeah, this week, play against the Minnesota Vikings. Justin Fields, I think, can have a really good fantasy weekend.
Yeah, I don't hate this pick. It's kind of like when you're playing craps at Vegas and you're just like, okay, do I put it all on, snake eyes, or do I kind of like spread it around the table a bit? Because, look, if you want to spend that little bit and kind of, consolidate your bet, I say go for Russell Wilson. But if you want to take the bigger risk, I think I just mixed up that metaphor. But if you want to take the bigger risk and, really go all in on your other players, then yeah, go for Justin Fields. Because I agree with you. I could see him having a good game, but the problem is, much like the Vikings, Justin Fields is kind of inconsistent. So that's the whole problem is and the Vikings, they're not the Lions or something like that where I'm like, okay, yeah, that defense is just consistently terrible. Every now and then they'll have that weirdly good game. Don't forget this is the team that basically shut down the Cleveland Browns and held them to a touchdown through 3.5 quarters.
Right.
And that was with Nick Chubb still healthy. So that was a fully loaded Browns offense. So that's my whole thing. That's quite a bigger risk, but one that could pay off pretty handsomely.
That's very true. That's very true. So, Tad, let's get into your second player that you have here for this week.
Okay, we're back because this one's confusing to me. I don't understand this one at all.
All right, let's hear it. Let's hear it.
It's my catchphrase at this point. Cordero Patterson is priced at $6,900. Nice. Don't shake your head. I had to go for it. But I don't understand why, because I think I've already told our listeners this is the way I do this is I organize it by, okay, who has the most points per game, and then I'll look at the price. So if you actually look this week, it goes, something where I still find this hilarious. Derrick Henry is at the top. Or sorry, he's
$7,000 still in. He's second, on the IR.
He's
I really just don't understand.
Jonathan Taylor.
I just don't
second
understand.
Below, so Jonathan Taylor's like 9,200, which I almost put Jonathan Taylor. Look, I like him a lot, but 9,200.
Yeah, against the Patriots defense, I don't think so, my friend.
Same. I think he'll do fine. I think we'll get like 15 points or something like that. But anyway. So it's Jonathan Taylor, Derrick Henry, and then basically you keep on going down, and it's like 7,600, 7,400, 7,500, and then all of a sudden, like the 5th or 6th spot, you have 6,900. You're like, whoa, what happened there? And then I was looking, I'm like, okay, well, it's Cordero Patterson, so that's understandable. He's probably playing a really good run defense, and I looked, I'm like, sorry, buddy. I looked, I'm like, nope. He's playing the 49ers. They're not that good of a run defense. What's going on here? The only justification I can think for it is that and this is really weird considering he used to be a receiver, when the Falcons have to go to the pass game, he basically disappears. They bring in Mike Davis. They don't really involve him that much. That's why Mike Davis is kind of having a little bit of a bounce back these past couple of weeks is because they've really depended on the pass. So that's the only reason I could think that this is low for him. But if the Falcons are smart and stick to the run, which is extremely possible, Patterson's going to get you 12 to 15 points, which for $6,900 is a bargain. That's about $500 cheaper for most other borderline running back 1 options, and honestly, it's on par for running back 2. So I really I'm not going to say it's like outstanding value, but I think that's fairly good value for a running back. I think that can get you good returns.
It's not bad. It's not bad because, the Niners, they did pretty well against Joe Mixon this past weekend in Cincinnati Bengals, but pretty well. Joe Mixon was still able to do a good amount of damage against them. So that's why even with Cordell Patterson here, it's like because of the versatility of him being a running back, also a receiver. I know you said Mike Davis is sort of throwing a wrench into those sort of things, but I still think, they value Cordell Patterson a little bit more in that offense compared to Mike Davis based on the track record of this entire season.
And that's
so
the whole
far.
thing is I think they're kind of realizing like, okay, we've kind of pushed him out of the game plan the past couple of weeks a little bit, but even with that, he's still not gone below 10 points in like 4 or 5 weeks. So even with his diminished, role, he's still getting enough production where he's easily worth that price.
It's very true. It's very true. So we'll see exactly what happens, but Cordero Patterson is actually not a bad addition against the 49ers defense this weekend. So I'm going, this is a pretty bargain of a deal here. This is like when you go to Walmart and you're diving through the $5 Blu-ray bin and you're like looking at all this garbage and all of a sudden you find like the great movie in that.
What are you doing? Yeah, there's a reason they're so cheap. What are you doing still getting discs? It's called streaming, man. True, but Jesus. So you find that one movie that's like, why is this in the $5 movie bin? Because
of
it's a disc
purposes or whatever it is, but it's just like you find it, and I think I may have found that very similar player here this weekend, and that's Braxton Barrios versus the Miami Dolphins, who plays for the New York Jets. Only $3,200.
I love the fact that you had to clarify that.
Well, I don't know if people know where he's playing because who doesn't even know who Braxton Barrios is? That's why I had to bring up his name and who he plays for.
So much.
So I brought this up.
That's the most Jets thing to ever happen on this show.
Yeah, so I brought this up in the waiver wire episode. I was actually talking about Jamison Crowder, who I think could also have a really good weekend because both Corey Davis is on the IR. He's going to miss the rest of the season. Elijah Moore is on the IR. He's probably going to miss the rest of the season as well. So that means, it's going to be Jamison Crowder and Braxton Barrios as the starting receivers. And last time Davis missed time, this was all the way back in week 2, Braxton Barrios had 11 targets and 7 receptions. And this was also in a game where Elijah Moore also played. Elijah Moore had a better game overall with yards, but Barrios was very much involved in that game. So now you have to look to last week only with both Davis and Moore out. Braxton Barrios actually had the most targets on the team. He had 10 targets with 6 receptions. Crowder was tied with 2 other players with 6 targets total. It was definitely they were passing it a lot. They only scored 9 points. So, he didn't score a touchdown, unfortunately. But I think the fact that they're heavily involving him, Zach Wilson is going into Braxton Barrios' direction a little bit more. The Jets are playing the Dolphins this weekend, currently allowing the 5th most passing yards per game in the league right now. So the Dolphins are still allowing a lot of passing yards. I know they've been playing well during their 5-game streak here on defense, but they're still allowing a lot of yards.
They've been playing that 5-game streak though. That their opponent stretch has been just a cupcake. Like, it's just so don't put a lot of stock in that, listeners. That they've been killing it recently. You'd be killing it too if you were the head coach of the Dolphins, because basically it's like playing Madden on all rookie.
It's very true. It's very true. So, yeah, they should have a good time getting a lot of passing yards through the getting passing yards with Zach Wilson, Barrios, Jamison Crowder as well. But the big thing here is that even though you're paying $3,200 and he may not necessarily go off, like maybe they'll look more at Jamison Crowder's direction. Maybe with the return, Michael Carter's supposed to come off the IR. Maybe he's going to get more involved with the offense as well. Ty Johnson, Tevin Coleman. Who knows what's going to happen? So at $3,200, this is a player that you can sort of put into your lineup to spend more at other positions, even if he doesn't go off. So you can sort of quote unquote punt this position, put in Braxton Barrios. It's a lottery ticket sort of play. If he goes off for you, low risk, high reward for you. But if it doesn't go off for you, like I said, it's a low risk option that you can allow you to sort of pay a little bit more some of those players that you think for sure are going to go off. Like, Kyler Murray, $7,900 this week. He's playing Detroit. I'm pretty sure he's going to have a good game. So you can spend a little bit more to get Kyler Murray into your roster and then put Braxton Barrios into your roster, because that will be able to compensate that sort of aspect there. So maybe you're going to actually roll with a roster of like 8, quote unquote, as opposed to the full 9 with a guy like Braxton Barrios. So I think he'll still get a lot of targets, a lot of receptions, because obviously in DFS, you do get the PPR play. So if he's getting that many targets and receptions, he's going to do well for you. He may not do extraordinarily unless he scores. But like I said, it's a low risk, high reward option. So I like him this weekend.
Yeah, we mentioned it earlier in this episode, is that one of the most frustrating things that happens, at least to me, consistently when I'm building my DFS rosters is I'll build a great roster and I'll be like, okay, I have one more spot to fill out. It's my flex spot. And then I realize I spent too much money, so then you got to shuffle everything around. And all of a sudden, next thing you know, you're starting Donovan Peoples-Jones and going, please score a touchdown, because otherwise you're worthless. So I think that is exactly where Barrios fits here. Is he is the perfect gamble flex play, because he's cheap enough where you get enough money where even if he busts, most of your roster, because you save that money, will do pretty well. So you know what? When I first saw this pick, I was like, are you insane? But you convinced me, man. I actually do like this pick. If here's the thing though, you got to use it wisely, because if you're going in with Barrios as your wide receiver 2, don't do that. Like that's a bad game plan. But if you go in with him, like I said, it's kind of like your backup option of like, hey, if he gets a touchdown, awesome, pays off huge. If he doesn't, I'm not screwed, because I built the rest of my roster pretty well because he was so cheap. Like, yeah, this is a good gamble to take. Because here's the thing too, is like in the NFL, I gambling on running backs is very hard. Of like, who's going to go off this week for the Titans, Foreman or Hilliard? Like, I don't like that gamble, because you really don't know. But gambling on receivers, I feel much more comfortable with, because it's the NFL. It's the Jets. They're going to be behind. They're going to be throwing it a lot, and they got to be throwing it to someone. So, Barrios is at least going to be racking up those receptions at the very, very worst.
That's the big thing there. That's the big thing there for sure. So I know you're talking about gambling with running backs, but you know who I love gambling with? And that's our sponsors, MyBookie. The holiday season is upon us, and that means having to look for some great gifts for your friends and family members. And MyBookie has just the thing. Make a deposit on their website using the promo code LAFB, and they will double your initial deposit. All you have to do is, like I said, put in that promo code LAFB when you make your initial deposit, and MyBookie will take care of the rest. And hey, not only do they want you to earn some extra holiday cash this season, but they also want your friends, family, neighbors, coworkers, everybody else to join the fun too. So all you have to do is send them a referral link, and you can get 250% of a bonus on their initial deposit. That's no misspoken word there. That's 250% of a bonus on their first deposit. I mean, that's just insanity. And the best thing about that is an unlimited time offer. So the more you invite people to the MyBookie website to sign up for their website, you will get a 250% bonus on all of their initial deposits. So invite the whole crew. So I mean, really, there's no need to wait. Join the party of MyBookie where you can double your first deposit, as mentioned, using that promo code LAFB. You get that 250% bonus with people using your referral links, and send that out to everybody because, hey, bet anything, anytime, and anywhere with MyBookie. So, Tad, we want to close out this episode here. We got final players here, so I'm going to kick it to you here first. Who's the last guy that you want to bring up here in Week 15, either good or bad?
So, I'm going to go with a guy who's a little overvalued, so I'm not... I can already hear the Bucks fans coming after me. I am not saying that this guy is going to bust this week. I'm just saying I'm not quite sure he's worth the value that he's at right now, and that's Leonard Fournette. Sorry, I'm taking preemptive cover. So here's the deal. I know this dude's on a crazy hot streak right now.
He's looking like playoff Lenny. Hey, it's their term. I'm just using it.
All right, we're putting this on the Decide Guys poll on Twitter. Jerk or no jerk? Guy who calls Leonard Fournette Lenny. My God. But anyways, Lenny there. I know he's been on a super hot streak, but he's questionable. He sat out Wednesday's practice with a sore ankle. Bruce Arians is playing down the severity of the injury. But here's something very important to note. They added 2 running backs on the practice squad. I know Fournette's backups are hurt as well, but still, adding that many running backs to your practice squad that could be activated on a moment's notice doesn't inspire a whole lot of confidence in just how healthy Leonard Fournette is. And actually, real quick fun fact, do you want to know who one of those running backs was? He's a guy you would remember. He was really good in college.
A lot of really good players in college.
That's fair. Okay,
it doesn't help me a ton.
This is also a quiz to see how up to date you are with college football news. The college he went to just lost their head coach to Miami.
Just lost their head coach to Miami. Is it LeGarrette Blount?
No. Oh, that's a good guess, though. That's a good one.
Trying to think of other. I'm guessing it's Oregon running back, right? Because Martin Chris Small went to Miami. Yep. Yeah. Okay. Other Oregon running backs, like there's Michael James. But he's not in the league anymore.
No, because he actually doesn't want to die.
I'm going to be out here for days. I'm sort of blanking at Oregon running backs right now.
Kenyan Barner.
Kenyan Barber? I feel like you're combining Kenyon Drake and Peyton Barber. I feel like
Barner,
you got the name
Barner.
wrong.
Sorry, Barner.
Kenyan Barner. Okay. I was like,
sorry,
wait.
Barner. Sorry. Yes, I was mixing that up with Peyton Barber, who was a Buck, by the way. Barber, whatever. He went to Oregon. He was good there. So anyway, yes, Kenyon Barner is now a Buccaneer. Good Lord, I just shot myself right in the foot there. It's 10:30 where I am. I have a very long day. We're doing standardized testing this week.
I'll give you a break, but still, come on, man.
I'm trying to think of any other excuse. Damn it, Cap. I don't know. Just when in doubt, blame it on the cat.
Okay.
But anyway,
so Kenyon Barner.
Barner. He did go to Oregon, right? Please.
Yes, he did.
I
do know.
That was my biggest fear. I was like, oh shit, tell me I got that right. Okay, so it was Kenyan Barner and Darwin Thompson.
Okay.
I've never heard of him, but anyway, so they added 2 running backs here, and on top of all this, so even if Fournette does play, which I think he will, Because I don't think Arians is like totally fooling us. I think he's downplaying it just because it's like, okay, look, like, yes, he's sitting out the entire week, but he'll play. He's going against the Saints, and this is actually very surprising. The Saints are the best run defense in fantasy football this year.
Wow. Okay.
I know. Yeah, I was shocked to see that too when I was doing my research, but they are. And so it's not, again, I'm not saying that Leonard Fournette's going to have a bad game. I think he could end up in that 10 to 12 point range. But I think if you're going to spend $7,500 plus on a running back, there are much better places to do that than a guy with this much risk. So it's just, he carries too much risk. I don't love the value. It's not terrible value, but it's just a little too much. If he was like 7,200, I'd be like, great, go for it. But above 75, I can't. You don't have my stamp of approval there.
Yeah, it's a little bit risky with all the injury news and, all the running back situation there. So, it's probably better to go in a different direction.
Plus, apparently everybody's getting COVID now, so that's always a risk.
You got the divisional matchup. The Saints play the Buccaneers really tough, especially with Tom Brady being a member of the Buccaneers now. Like I said, 3 straight regular season wins for them. We'll see what happens this weekend. So, yeah, I completely understand that pick there. So, I know last week, Tad, you went with 3 good value picks, so I actually did the same thing this week here.
Go. Decide guys in the holiday spirit.
Exactly. We're in the giving mood. It's the holiday season. We want to give you some extra good players to have this weekend here in week 15. So I got running back Myles Gaskin versus the New York Jets. He's only $5,600. And the Jets...
Crazy. That's great.
That's the big one because I got some stats to help back that up as far as why it's a worthy play. The Jets are currently giving up the most points to fantasy running backs in the league. Like, there's one stat for you right there. Like, obviously, you need to start him there. But also, this is the second time that the Jets and Dolphins are playing because obviously they play in the same division. So last time the Jets and Dolphins played in the season, Gaskin went off for 96 total yards and a touchdown. 89 of those yards came on the ground alone. So this was Gaskin's best game of the season. Surprisingly, it was only his 3rd best fantasy season. He actually has a better performance against other teams. So, but still, he got the numbers there, which means he could probably do it again. Like we talked about, the Dolphins are on a hot streak right now. They're fighting for their playoff lives. Big thing though is that they're going to expect this offense to sort of go with whatever is working for them. So whether that's Tua Tagovailoa and the passing game, whether that's Myles Gaskin and this running game, anything that's sort of working, they're probably going to go with that. And I think it's more going to be Myles Gaskin because he's a big cog in this machine on offense that will lead to them beating the Jets and continuing their winning streak here. Because also, Tua's been playing well, but I can't give him the full vote of confidence that it's like he's going to be a consistent quarterback down the stretch for them. I think he's still going to have some good games, but they're going to be more reliant on the defense. Like I said, that's why I'm more confident in the running game a little bit. I don't think he's going to cause them to lose games, but just the numbers are not going to be there. So they're going to be more reliant on the run game. So it's fear the pass enough, but they're going to focus on the run game sort of thing right there. And also just one more thing I want to throw out there is that prior to their start of their winning streak in week 9, they were averaging a paltry 20.9 rushing attempts per game. In this winning streak that they've had right now, 28.8 rushing attempts per game. So it's clearly a sign that the more rushing attempts that they had sort of led to their winning streak right here. So I think they'll probably feed the ball more to Myles Gaskin here. Like I said, it's a really good option for you for only $5,600. Playing the Jets, I like it.
He's the number 1 running back going against the Jets. Yes. Go for it. Obviously. Jesus. I can't believe he's that cheap. That's ridiculous. So, yeah. No, great pick. Just absolutely. Not much I can add. Other than it's that simple.
Exactly.
He's a starting running back going against the Jets. He should be at least $6,400. That's what I'd price him at, and he's almost $1,000 cheaper than that. So, yeah. Excellent pick. I will say this just to piss off all the Tua fans real quick before we sign off. Tua's the next Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's not fun. He's not good, or he's not great. It's not terrible. He'll have some good games for you, also bad games for you. He'll be fine. That's Tua's ceiling. I really do believe that at this point.
Yeah, it started trending in that direction.
It's a good off-season topic. How about that?
Oh, yeah. It's going to be a very interesting off-season to see exactly what happens as far as the whole Deshaun Watson situation. Obviously, you got Russell Wilson possibly on the trade block, Aaron Rodgers.
Teddy Bridgewater's a free agent.
It's going to be wild. It's going to be wild for sure. But that will conclude our Week 15 DFS Value Players show here. Yeah, we sort of talked about this. I know we're no longer doing the waiver wire episodes for you, but hey, we still give you great advice on the Twitter handles that we have. That's why we have the ticker at the bottom of the screen there. Interact with us at all of our handles. You got mine at UmberTheSide23. You got Tad's at TadTheSide94. Obviously got the show handle, DDecide, guys. Talk to us. We want to help you out as you're going through the fantasy playoffs here, or if you're still fighting for a playoff spot, this is your final regular season week. I know a lot of leagues have it set up that way. But yeah, we definitely want to make sure that you're making all the right decisions to get yourself a fantasy title this season. Besides that, if there's any other DFS talk you want to talk about, we're here to help you with that. Later on, we're definitely going to give you our sports betting picks, so make sure you tune in for that. Obviously, we could give you some more picks through the Twitter. I know we don't really cover props as much during the episode, but that's something Tad loves as well.
Oh, yeah.
So please
Big
interact
time.
with us. We can help you out with some prop bets as well.
The reason we don't cover props, there are too many.
It's true.
It's literally like I'm just like digging through all these props. Like I like that one. I like that one. I like that one. I like that one. And I can't narrow it down. So that's the only reason we don't do props.
There you go. So Tad's an expert on prop bets as well, so make sure you interact with him if you want to make some prop bets this weekend. But yeah, obviously the playoffs are heating up. We want to know your thoughts as which teams are going to make it in. Who do you like in the NFC? Who do you like in the AFC? Who's going to fall short? Talk to us about anything really. It could be football related, non-football related, anything and everything. So yeah, make sure you follow all those handles. We appreciate everybody subscribing to the YouTube channel right on the LAFB Network YouTube page. Obviously people that subscribe to the podcast, everybody that listens, who follows, who interacts, who watches us. I mean, just anything and everything, guys. We really just can't thank you guys enough.
Thanks for listening, guys.